let's get into what we want to talk about. And it's again what I want to talk about. I don't know if you saw or not, um, but MLB the Show announced that they were adding a new mode to this year's release, MLB the Show 23. Um, and the new mode is they worked with the Negro League Museum and work together with them to create basically like a storylines mode where you play some like key moments in the Negro Leagues focused around, I believe, 8 players. Um, Most of them are escaping me. And this is why I'm actually really excited about it, is because there's not a ton of good coverage of these players. Like, you only know about the ones who made the leap from the Negro Leagues eventually to the MLB after Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. And you just think about it and it's just like there's so many people who like put in all this work and effort to be the best at their craft, and they get no recognition because at the time they could have been the best player ever, and simply because of the color of their skin we have so little like trackable data of like what it is that they did. And it sucks. One of the people I know is Satchel Paige that they're focusing on, who again he made the jump. So it's like really well known how good he is, despite the fact that he only played how many years, because the first half, 3/4 of his career, he wasn't allowed to play in the majors. He had to play. He could only play in the Negro League. Um, so I think this is great. I think it's a great way to grow the game. I think it's a great way to give recognition to people who most people probably have never heard of. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if even the average baseball fan hadn't heard of Satchel Paige. Um, I'd maybe be a little surprised, but nonetheless, like, I think this is really cool. I think it's a great way to again grow the game and show some of these storylines. We all know the Jackie Robinson story. If you haven't, there's a great movie about it, 42. Highly suggest going and watching it. Um, but I think that's like fairly well documented and fairly well taught. This is a great way to hear some of those other stories and actually play through them, just like you do with like the moments that they have you play as Babe Ruth, who was probably a racist. So let's champion some other people. And yeah, especially the ones who didn't make the jump at any point because their careers ended before Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier. But again, you think about it like you know, black children and African American children had to have people that they looked up to. So, you know, who knows who it was that like Jackie Robinson like really took after. You know, I'm sure he wasn't looking up to major league players because he probably felt like he was never going to be able to like play in that league, right? So, uh, you know, you can kind of start to like see like, oh, this person was, you know, the Mike Trout at the time, right? Like this is the person that everybody wanted to be. Um, and it's why we got these players who then, you know, once the color barrier is broken, actually were able to like come over and start to make that impact and that difference that we now know about. I just think this is such a cool idea. I'm so happy that they're doing this. I never, like in a million years, would have thought of it, and so I think that's great. Like, um, I hope they do it. Like, I hope they do it right. I hope they like get it really fleshed out. I think they said that like basically they're doing it in like seasons, so each year is going to be a new season focusing on new players. But I hope it's like really fleshed out. I hope it's not just um, like, oh, Satchel Paige threw the first no hitter in the Negro League. Um, like, you know, playing as Satchel Paige, no hit, such and such team. And like that's it, right? That's the only thing they have for him. Hopefully they give like tons of moments for each of these players, and like hopefully it's like really fleshed out. And it's not just like one and done. It's like there you go, you learned about it. So I have high hopes, but yeah, curious. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually saw the announcement for this come up on my YouTube feed today. So I was glad when you messaged me and said you wanted to talk about it. Um, it's going to be the reason. I'm pretty sure it was confirmed that that the new MLB game is going to be on Game Pass this year. I'm like, oh, cool. Well, now I have a reason to install it and play it because that does really interest me. Um, Funny story: a couple of years ago, um, Justine was going through like a family member's things that were being gotten rid of, and found this really nice jersey that said Detroit on the front, and it was, the blue and orange and everything. So she grabbed it for me and gave it to me, like, oh, that's really cool. I was like, this isn't a Tigers jersey though. And I'm looking at it, and it says stars on it, and on the one sleeve and on the other side, it's got the Negro League patch.
Hmm.
And it's like a really nice jersey. I don't know how old it is. Like, I don't think it's like, of that period. I think it was probably just like
Like a remake or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh man, that's really cool." And I read about the Detroit Stars, and they were a charter team for the Negro League, but never really took the time to learn about like the history, the players, the significance of that specific team. So I imagine there's going to be some of that in this, and even if there's not, just to have some of the general history of the league and the other players, it's really exciting. So I will probably pick it up myself and play it just for that um, feature alone.
Yeah, I mean, you just like think about this and like I kind of liken it to Assassin's Creed, how they started doing those like discovery modes where you can like just walk through the time period and like see various things and like learn about it. And it's just such a great opportunity to like mix education and video games together where you can still be playing and having fun and like active in it. But at the same time be learning and like again like taking in that history and realizing like what things were and how we eventually got to where we are today. It's really important. Um, and I definitely think it needs to be documented better. I want to say it was a year or two ago that like the MLB officially announced that like I could be wrong about this, but I could have sworn they announced that like players' stats in the Negro leagues counted as major league stats. So uh like if they like made the Hall of Fame or something, you wouldn't say like, oh, they had like this batting average in the Negro leagues and then this batting average in the MLB. It would just be like all together. I want to say they did that. Um, but I mean, like that doesn't take away the fact that like again, for the longest time, it was like impossible to even know anything about it outside of like again the few players who like played in both leagues basically. So I'm excited for it. I think it's a great opportunity. I love the fact that I feel like I know most of the uh like I'll say like big names again, like the people who are known for like making the jump between the two leagues. Um and so the fact that I recognize the name Buck O'Neill and I definitely know Satchel Paige, but outside of that, I'm a little hit or miss on the other names. That has me super excited. Oh, and Jackie Robinson, of course. But um yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope, like I said, they do it well, they have it fleshed out, and they really give you a chance to learn about these players in the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but Norman Stearns, who was a big player for Detroit, I'm pretty sure he went to the MLB at some point. Well, maybe not. I don't know. So it'd be interesting to get more stories on that. 'Cause, I mean, he was, um, he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame
Right.
and was, still a fantastic baseball player, regardless of, um, what league he played in.
Right.
And I think he was sorry, I'm also kinda, like, pulling up the Wikipedia as well because I was looking at your, what you said about them bringing in stats from the Negro League to count as, like, MLB stats.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe I'm misremembering that. But
No, I think you're right, but I think when they did that, he I don't wanna misquote the facts, but ended up being like a league leader in triples or something like that. If I understand what they're saying correctly. So it's just interesting, you just think about the sport of baseball and what this league meant to what baseball is today. It's just kind of like you said, just cool they're shedding light on it.
yeah. I mean, again, there's so many guys who like even guys who had long MLB careers, like um Minnie Minoso, right? Really good player, well documented how good he was. But nonetheless, his first 3 seasons, he played in the Negro League. And it's just like it's just crazy. I think like more light needs to be put on that to really show um kind of how ridiculous it was, right? For the time and everything. Um but also again to just showcase like how important these players were and like all they had to go through to get the recognition and again think about all the people who don't get that recognition and would rightfully deserve it. So
Right.